let's come find our yoga mat. Take a comfortable seat. Today's class, pose focus, is revolved triangle pose. So we'll see a lot of good lengthening poses and some twists. Sit up nice and tall through the spine here. Set the palms down along the thighs. Close the eyes or turn your gaze downward. And as you do this, bring awareness to your breath. It's how we start most of our yoga classes, just a few moments to tune in. And specifically today, I want to link everything to connection, pun intended, so that we see the cycle. So notice how your inhale goes right into the exhale moves right into the next inhale, on and on. In this post-election week, I've been thinking a lot about connection. And I want to read this short paragraph from the book Living Your Yoga from Judith Lassiter. She says, when we embrace our importance, we are living our connection with others and the world around us. In this state, we change the world. Just a kind gesture or a generous word can change another's day. Stopping to pay attention to what another person may need right now in their life and helping when appropriate can change that person's life. Connection is that process of knowing our importance to the whole, as well as comprehending that others share this importance with us. When we do so, we're less likely to hate or to fear. We can rest secure in the knowledge that we are all eternal threads in a bigger design. One way that Judith mentions to come into connection with others is to share a yoga practice. I think it very easily comes to us on the mat. Let's start today just by nodding the chin down to your chest, and then rock the right ear over towards the right shoulder. Hold there. Try to relax the shoulders, and then walk the opposite hand, fingertips just out to the side. We'll make all these little connections. I won't do this the whole way through, but noticing just in first moving the head over, there's some stretch, and then we connect by lengthening the fingertips out to the side and create more of a stretch. And then we can do one more connection point, right hand on top of the left ear, give it a little tug out to the side, and again, even more enhanced stretch. And take the hands back to the thighs, the chin down to the chest, and rock left ear over towards the left shoulder. Let the shoulders themselves relax. Feel the good stretch there. And then a little bit more. Walk the right fingertips out to the side. And take the left hand on top of the right ear. Bring both hands back, hands to the thighs, and chin down to the chest. Lift the head and open the eyes. Okay, come over to all fours on your mat. Props can be out of the way for now. Hands under the shoulders and knees under the hips. And then do cat and cow. Just go back and forth in the spine here. Create that connection with the change in breath, with the change in motion of the body. Inhale, pull through, and then exhale, round. Downward facing dog, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back. And in down dog, pedal your feet a little bit back and forth. Shake out the head a bit. And then find a more still position in dog pose. Next breath, lower the knees down to the mat. And either walk the knees back a little bit further or take the hands a little further out so you're kind of in the stretched out all fours position. Now push back towards child's pose and butt like still about halfway lifted since you were in that stretched out position. A little more pull, a little more strength work to open in the shoulders and upper back here. So we're going for that length. Lift your eyes, your head, so you're looking past your fingertips, and then be on only fingertips, kind of spider hands, if you will, and keep looking through. At the same time, trying to pull back on your hips. Really good long stretch, looking for that lengthening through the torso. Okay, come back up and then walk the hands a little bit over to the right side. So we do this in almost every class, but I do it from child's pose. We're coming up first and then trying to pull back. So just a little different emphasis today so you get even more stretch in the shoulders and upper back. Okay, we come back up, walk across the center, do it to your second side. Your arms are already to the side, and then try to sit back. Seat stays higher away from the heels in this variation. And then bring the hands back into the middle. And this time, let your seat go all the way down. So more into that relaxed version of child's pose. A little less reach in the arms. Let your breath push in and away from the thighs. And then roll up, sit back on your heels. Interlace your hands, flip the palms, and press up towards the sky. Kind of curve over to one side and to the other side. Good. Come back to the center, open the hands up, palms up, and then just lift a tiny bit, look towards the sky. Release, let's stand all the way up, nicely done. Come to the front of your yoga mat. We'll just get ourselves moving, lift up the heart rate a little bit with a few rounds of sun salutations here. Inhale, lift the arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Hands can go to thighs, shins, or fingertips to the floor. And then step back to plank. From the top of your push-up, make yourself really strong. Squeeze the heels and glutes. Press down into the hands so that the arms are super straight. You can do a little bit of a bubble or a round in the upper back, but look forward at the same time. Stay here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll lie flat down onto the mat. Baby cobra, lift up just a little bit. Change to downward facing dog, all the way up and back. Look forward to the hands and then step, jump all the way to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Stand up, reach the arms all the way to the sky. And palms together, center the chest. We go again. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank. With control here, lower flat down against the mat. Peel the chest up for cobra. Downward facing dog, hips up and back. We'll add in a little bit more here. Step your right foot all the way in between the hands. Big step into your lunge. And add right hand to the sky for your twist. Stay here, breathe here. Lower the right hand down, step the right foot back. Step the left foot forward to your low lunge. Few steps until you have your full stride, and then take the twist, left arm high. Lower the left hand down, step back again to dog pose. Take 2 breaths. Again, inhale, look forward to the hands. Step or jump to the front of your yoga mat. Half lift. Forward fold. Stand, reach the arms overhead. Bring the palms together, center of the chest. Go one more time. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Half lift. Step back to plank. Lower down to the mat. Peel the chest up for cobra. Downward facing dog. Take a breath. And then right foot forward into your low lunge. Walk the hands up to your front thigh, palms together, and then do a twist from this point, left elbow towards the right side. Notice that if you strengthen in the legs, squeeze the hips in towards each other, that there's a little more ease in the balance and control of the twist. And then untwist, set the hands down, step back to plank. Down dog. Second side, step the left foot forward, find your low lunge. Walk the hands up to the front knee. Different variation would be with the back knee down. If it works, try out the balance with the back knee up, palms together and twist. The right elbow can be above the knee or hooked to the outside of the thigh. Try to lift the back leg higher rather than lowering it down to create space in the low back. And then untwist. Downward facing dog, step it back. Take a couple of breaths there. Look forward to the hands and step or jump all the way to the front. Half lift. Forward fold. Stand up, arms to the sky. And bring your palms together, center of the chest. Nice full breath in and out. Okay, release the hands, give everything a little bit more of a shake. Okay, I want us to find our yoga strap, whether you're using an actual strap. Again, I mentioned a scarf or towel works as well. And we're going to stand on it. So you're going to hold the edges, bend your knees a little bit. So you're holding mid-calf, yeah? And you're kind of like in a chair pose. And then try to connect your belly down onto your thighs, literally touching each other if possible. Get a little fold in the hip crease. And then can you drop your head a little bit more? And depending on your range of motion, maybe you've walked your hands even further down so they're holding on quite close to the feet, perhaps. And spin your elbows out towards the side. And then keeping your belly pressed against your thighs. Don't let that change. Make the legs as straight as they'll go. So you might be like, oh, that's why I need a little bit more room. And I'm literally pulling up on that strap like I'm trying to get myself to levitate. Elbows out to the side, nice and strong. Squeeze the tips of your shoulder blades in towards each other. And then keep doing everything that you're doing, but belly away from your thighs. So you go into your half lift position. And then again, forward fold. Bring the belly back down. So like no air, no light between belly and thighs. Maybe a little bit more stretch through the back of the legs. Feel your breath connect right against your legs here. Take one more breath like that. Release your hands from the strap and slowly come all the way back up. Okay, one arm to the sky. I've got my left arm up and over to the side. Doesn't matter, we'll go both sides here. And then come back and do that to the second side. Other arm up and a little bit over. Good, come back into the center. Okay, we'll get rid of the strap for a little bit. And instead, find your yoga block or something similar, like if you've got a couple of books stacked on top of each other, place it over towards the right side of the mat. Wide stance. This microphone is bugging me today. Okay. Wide stance, extend the arms out in either direction, turn the right toes out. Triangle pose, we're right into it. Reach as far as you can. And then I do want you to use some height, whether it's your leg or the height of a block today. Place your hand to the inside of the leg if you're using the block. Left arm straight up to the sky. Get your legs as straight as they'll go. And really turn, turn, turn through the abdomen, across the shoulders. If it feels funny to look up, look down instead and see if that helps. Stay here kind of uncomfortably long, a couple of extra breaths today. And then come all the way up. Second side. So if you're not using a block for any reason, I do want your hand to hold your shin instead of the floor so that we have just a little bit more room. Okay, extend the spine towards the left. Place the left hand down. So if you're using the top hand first right at the hip, can you find the little bony part of your hip that sort of sticks out? And try to draw that more up towards the sky. I know that I've done that right when I have more stretch on the bottom leg, inner thigh. So my left inner thigh has a little more stretch when my top hip is faced more straight up rather than down. Push the feet evenly down and away from one another. Good, and come all the way up. Okay, feet turn parallel to each other. Use the block or don't for this one. Hands out in front, wide-legged forward fold. Bring your head down towards the floor. And the block could be for your head. Like forehead, not the top of the head, but forehead. If you're using it that way and your hands are free, hold on to your ankles and do that same little bend in the elbows that we did when we were using our strap. And a traditional yoga block is going to have 3 different heights, and so you can play with the height that's necessary to find that connection of head to block. Static stretch here, staying pretty much in one place for the length of the pose. Good enough. Come all the way back up. Heel toe the feet in, in. Okay, no block, no strap needed for these, but you might need some balance against a wall or holding onto a chair or something if you want to move somewhere, or try it without. Lift your right knee up and hold the front of your shin. Front of the shin, both hands, lift up as high as you can. So here, we're trying to rotate the hip just straight on. We do these lying down on our back sometimes, but it's fun to find the stability in a balanced pose also. Okay, I'm going to switch so that I'm holding on to the same side as you guys. So if with the right leg up, we're going to keep our right hand close to the knee and take your left hand down to the front of the ankle. Extend the knee a little bit more out to the side so that your shin is at somewhat of a horizontal angle, yeah? And just rotates the hip a tiny bit. And then you're gonna change your hands. Left hand holds on more towards the knee and try to reach the bottom hand down to the ankle and squeeze in. And that should be like super parallel. Release the leg and give it a little bit of a shake out. So it's gonna be like mostly straight, and then it goes out, and then we're trying to go like uber straight. And we do it on the second side. And these subtle changes, warming up the hip, I think are super helpful as we continue the journey today for Revolved Triangle pose. Okay, so now I'm holding onto my left leg. I'm going to take the left hand at the knee and the right hand down at the ankle, and it just turns out a little bit. Maybe a lot bit, yeah? And more I'm doing this so that we see the difference when we change. Yeah, and if you have your back to a wall, it can be helpful. We do this lying down usually. But then still try to pull your knee up towards the sky, like it wants to come down here because I'm holding on to that ankle, up, up, up. That's strengthening. Okay, release and shake it out. Now lie down onto your back. Have your strap, scarf, whatever you're using. And take it around the bottom of your right foot and stretch the legs straight up towards the sky. Hold as close to the foot, as far away from the foot as works, but try to get this leg fully straight today. And if you put the strap around the base of the toes rather than the middle of the foot, you want them around the base of the toes, and then kind of try to point your foot. It ends up in what I like to call the foint, half flex, half point. It gives you some good activation through the back of the leg, from the hamstrings through to the calf, and you can like feel the strength, yeah? Other leg can go straight down. And then do that little turn out, which is turn the right foot out towards the side. The heel will come slightly in towards the center and move the right leg towards the right shoulder. Sometimes I work in both arms here to help. A lot of strength and pull in that upper body. Keep pushing your base of the toes into the strap. And then bring it all back into the center. And like super straight on, like we were just trying to do in the balanced standing pose. And this super straight on position is where we go to for revolved triangle pose. Okay, leg goes down. So keeping that in mind, seeing how the poses lying down on our back here can connect and help us when we get back up. Left leg high. And again, that pointed position, half flex, half point. Push through base of the toes on your strap. Make the left leg as straight as it'll go. Lift up on the kneecap, tone the quad. And then you're going to rotate, externally rotate in the hip so that the left toes point more towards the left. The heel points more in towards the center. And then keeping that line, let the leg go out to the side. So we're aiming the toes more up towards the line of our shoulder. Again, if you have enough length in what you're using, I take my arms overhead and I'm using both to help pull the angle of the leg more towards the line of the shoulder. Be good to yourself. And then come back to the midline. The hips re-square. And go again for a little bit of more stretch here. Parallel to one another. Release the strap, lower the leg. Just pull both knees into your chest. Give it a good little squeeze. And rock yourself up to a seat. And then all the way up to standing. Okay. Most of the extra props and things out of our way here. And take a wide stance again. Extend the arms out. Okay, so just thinking about how this relates when we stand up. Turn the right toes out like you already did for triangle pose. Bring the hands to your hips. So this is more of that second open hip position. I want to pick up the back toes. I'm going to dig the heel in, pick up the back toes, and rotate the toes so that the hips and shoulders now look out over that right leg. So big change and difference there. And take the left arm up to the sky. Hinge at the hip. Reach as far as you can, out in front. So with the legs stable now, they don't get to move. Instead, the ability to move, to breathe, comes in the spine. And inhale and come all the way back up. Open out. And switch sides. So then the back toes go straight ahead. Dig in your left heel, open up the toes, set it down. Again, we see this open hip position. Dig in the back heel and try to rotate the back toes in. It takes a little bit of balance and control, right? So that both hips, to the best that we can, face out over the left leg here. Take the right arm up to the sky. All the length that you can. Reach over. And you're reaching just towards parallel. Arm, torso, about parallel to the mat. Push down and out through your feet. And inhale and come all the way back up. Open to your wide-legged position. Drop the hands down in front of you. And here the hands can again go underneath the block or bend your knees so that it's easier to have the fingertips on the floor. If it works with straight legs, cool, you can stay there. Let's take the right hand out to the side. Keeping the hips about square, lift the right arm up to the sky. Okay, and then what would happen if you let your hips kind of do the twist for you? Does the top arm get taller? Come back, right hand all the way down. And then take the left arm out. Try to keep the hips as square as possible, both even, and go for the twist. I get much less than 90 degree or 180 degree, I suppose, in this opening. And then if I let my hips take over, I can get the top arm all the way pointed straight up to the sky. And I just want us to know that difference, to kind of feel it, see it. When do the hips take over or not? And then lower it down. It tends to be the same thing in that revolved triangle pose. Come all the way up and heel toe your feet in. Okay, shake it out a bit. Do those changes make sense to you guys where I'm saying like hips don't go with you and then when you let the hips go with you, yeah, it happens more. Okay, good. Come up to the front of the mat. Inhale, lift the arms straight up towards the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Keep the right foot there. Step the left foot back. Hands can move to the inside to make this a little bit more doable. Straighten and bend the front knee. Back and forth, back and forth. Hands can come up a little bit higher under a block to make that a bit more accessible as well. Just back and forth, back and forth. And then stay with your low lunge, front knee bent, back leg straight, and go down to the forearms. And again, could be up on some height. Keep the back leg lifted, the back knee lifted. Notice how much strength it takes. If you were to lower the back knee down, go ahead and lower the back knee down. How does that change the posture for you? No one wrong or right, just how we're working. Lift the back knee up again. Back knee up forces us to stay a little bit more muscularly connected to the pose. Step the back foot forward and then switch sides. Right foot goes back. Remember at first, you're just looking for some movement. Forward and back, forward and back. Hands wherever you can find this movement. Okay, and then we'll stay with the deeper bend. What tends to happen and why I'm making these choices is that we try to hold the strength of the back knee up and then still go to our lowest point in the hips, and it kind of overstretches the back hip flexor often. So with the back knee up, think strength and rely on the strength. Don't go to your last little bit of stretch that's possible. Instead, push back through your back heel. Think of this front knee extending more forward. So you get longer, but not necessarily lower. And then if you do lower the back knee, it's giving you a closer point of connection to the front of the body, and you can use that to perhaps get a little bit lower in the stretch. Okay, bring it back up. Step the right foot forward. Stand up, arms to the sky. Keep the arms overhead, keep the right foot forward, step the left foot back so you're in your high lunge. Take the hands now to your hips, find that little hip point that sticks out. Without moving the hips, turn to the right, look over your right shoulder. And then back to the center. Palms can come together. Again, those hip points as straight ahead as possible. Turn to the right. And then back to the center, kind of noticing where you're getting what you're getting. One more time, turn to the right. Now, if you extend your arms out in either direction, does that longer lever give you just a little bit more turn? And then bring it all the way back in, arms to the sky. Step the back foot forward. Some time under tension in those lunges, right? Left foot stays forward, right foot goes back. Arms are up to start so that we can get the length. And then we'll play with twist in the length. Bring the hands to the hips. Okay. Little look over your left shoulder. You're probably not turning a lot because we're so focused on the hip. And then back to your middle. Change the hands to prayer. Try to keep the hips as focused to the front, but turn again. You might get a little bit more. What about if you extend the arms out? Does that help you get even a little bit more twist in the spine? Come back in, arms overhead. And step it all the way forward. Both arms high, exhale, forward fold. Step back to plank. Lower flat down onto your yoga mat. Take the hands behind you, turn the palms to face up to the sky, and lift everything up. Lift, lift, lift. Exhale, lower down. Press your hips back to your heels. Child's pose. Change to downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Lift the right leg up into the air for a three-legged dog. At what point as you lift, do the hips start to open to the side? Can you connect what's happening in the upper body as the leg gets higher and opens the hip? If I'm not thinking about it, for me, all of the weight goes into the left hand, left shoulder. The higher my leg goes. Try to push equal weight through the right hand. Okay, step the right foot all the way forward into your low lunge. Come up to warrior two. Spin the back heel down. Shoulders, hips open right on top of each other. Gaze over the right fingertips. Good stuff here. Elbow to the knee. Reach the top arm, palm down, overhead. Stay there or take the right hand down to blocker the floor. Try to keep everything else in the body the same. At least don't take away. In yoga hour this week, we talked about our practice being generative. We always want the poses to create more for us. Okay, come back up. Good, straighten the leg. Regular old triangle pose again. And then lower the top arm down. Hop your feet in just a little bit, slightly shorter stride. Turn the back toes towards the front corner of the mat and make the legs as straight as they'll go, hands up to the hip. Push your right big toe down and forward and pull your left heel down and back. And now, your right hip, bring the crease of the right hip up and bring the crease of the left hip down and around. Remember, we're always trying to get longer here from the hips to your head. Think of reaching out further. Don't let it curl over. Push your left heel down, front big toe forward, and lengthen the spine. Total bend in both knees, drop the hands, step back to plank. Lower down to your yoga mat, cobra, and downward facing dog. Okay, we get to do it on the second side. Lift the left leg up for three-legged dog. And again, lift the left leg enough that you start to notice when it gets higher, what is the point in which your hips start to open a little bit? And can you create a connection to the hands, shoulders, and integrity of that base of the body? Try to bring it back to even, so maybe the leg doesn't quite go as high so that you can stay as strong and connected in the shoulders. Okay, I'm sure you're tired of that. Step it all the way forward into your lunge and come up to warrior two. As you look past the left fingertips, breathe for a moment. Feel connected to each of us doing this class together. And then elbow to the knee, top arm overhead for side angle, extended side angle pose. It's Parsvakonasana. Maybe left fingertips to the ground or underneath the block. A little more stretch and reach, keeping the integrity of everything that came before it. Come back to warrior two, straighten the left leg and go to your triangle pose. Left arm down, right arm up. Okay, bring the right hand to the top of the hip, look down. Let's try it this way on this side. Heel toe the back foot in a little bit, and then start to turn the toes more towards the left. And bring the left hand to the hip until the hips continue their rotation all the way towards square, as square as they can go. Left hip leading up, right hip leading around and down. Strengthening in the abdomen so that you can hold here. Long line from the hips out to the head. And then bend both knees enough that you can drop the hands down, step back to your plank. Nicely done. Lower down to the mat. Lift the chest. And change to downward facing dog. For this one, let's bend the knees and walk the hands backwards to your feet. Imagine that your hands are connected to the strap like we were using it early in the class. But now it's fingertips down to the floor. Bend your elbows out to the side. Make your legs as straight as they'll go, keeping the belly attached to your thighs. Doesn't mean that the legs are straight here. It's as straight as they go, keeping the belly connected to your thighs. Change, hands to your hips, point the elbows to the sky, press down into your feet, come all the way up. Good, 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 a couple of breaths. Okay, we get to use our yoga block again. Here's our first full look at revolved triangle pose. Come stand at the top of your mat. Block to your left. Keep the right foot forward. Step your left foot back into your high lunge. Okay, I'm keeping the hands down here so that we really see the difference in the hips. Feet hip distance apart. And then whatever your length is in high lunge, hop the back foot in like 1 inch, slightly shorter. Because then you're gonna send your back heel down to the floor. And if you look through, line up your back heel to your front heel. And that's immediately gonna open that back hip a little bit out to the side. Just do your best to rotate things back around. And then we're gonna be like, okay, hips, you cannot move from this position. Straighten the right leg and hinge forward. Left hand goes down to your block. You get to choose. Keep the block on the big toe side of your foot. That's gonna be more doable. Or flip it over to the pinky toe side of the foot. Remember, hips are gonna stay here and I want the twist to come in the spine. Let's take our right arm way long out in front. For me, when I used the long lever of my arms, it made it easier to come into more depth in the twist. So we're gonna try it that way. Right arm up to the sky. Think of that standing high lunge that we were doing and how we had our hands first in prayer. We got a little bit. Extend the arms out a little bit more. Push your back heel down and your head forward. And if you bring your hands to your hips, how much do they change or not as you come back up? Just paying attention. Step it in. Whew. Okay, the block now, we're going to start it on the right side. Keep your left foot forward and step your right foot back. Squeeze the hips in, full stride here. And then again, hop the back toes in 1 inch. Spin the right heel down to the floor. And try to get the outer edge of the foot as solid as you can to the mat. Straighten the left leg. 2 straight legs, lift from your hips, straight up to the crown of the head. And we don't want that to change shapes. No cat or cow. We're going to stay nice long spine. Hinge from the hip forward. Drop the right hand down to your block. I'm saying block because usually when we go lower all the way to the ground, something has to give. The block should be helping us to keep the hips square today. You get to decide, block stays on that big toe side of the foot. More traditionally, the hand would go on the pinky toe side of the foot here. And then maybe you start the twist without using the left hand, see what you get. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to take my left hand up and see if I can get a little bit more. Push through your back leg, out through your head. Oh my goodness. Untwist and come all the way up. Little bend in both knees and step forward. Shake it out. Yeah. Okay, we're going to do the exact same thing one more time. Sometimes, of course, it's why we like taking different teachers' classes. Different words are more helpful. I'm going to read Darren Rhodes' description of getting in and out of this pose as we do it together and see what more insights we might get. So here we are, Parivrtta Trikonasana. He does it from lunge pose like I do. So right foot forward, step your left foot back. Hop the back foot forward slightly. Pivot the back heel down, turn the foot in 60 degrees. Line up the middle of the back arch with the front heel. Ooh, that's a little more narrow. Straighten the front leg. Square the hips to the top of the mat, right hip back, left hip forward. Lift the left hip up slightly so the hips are parallel to the floor. Keeping the head and hips centered, place the left palm or fingertips on the floor just to the outside of the right foot. Press the inner edge of the right foot down. Move the right hip back. To empower this action, hold the right hip with the right hand, thumb across the crease of hip, fingers on outer hip. With the hand, pull and extend the right hip back. Turn the abdomen up and rotate the right shoulder over the left shoulder. Extend the right hand up, arm vertical to floor. Point the biceps towards the top of the mat. Look up. Hold the pose and breathe. To come out, look down, place both hands on either side of the front foot, bend the front knee, step the back foot forward, and lift the back heel. We get to repeat on the second side. Keep the left foot forward, step the right foot back. Okay, now you, as the internal teacher, Parivrtta Trikonasana, second side. Take the right hand down with the left foot forward. Add your twist. Darren says, further for safety, press the front foot down. Contract the quads. Tighten the kneecaps and hamstrings. Press the back foot down. Simultaneously, move the inner edge of the back leg and the outer edge of the front leg back. Engage the left glutes. Move the tailbone down and the low belly in. If looking up is too intense for the neck or jaw, look down. Oh my goodness, come on out of the pose. So much things that we can say, right? Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Stand up, reach the arms to the sky. And bring palms together, center the chest. Breathe here. I always find when we go into the details of the work, there's a great inner connection. I understand not only how I'm moving, but how I am feeling. Okay, release it all, give it all a little bit of a shake. I think we're about ready to get down onto the mat, yeah? Let's do downward facing dog here. Downward facing dog. Nice work. Big pose. Right knee to the right wrist in pigeon pose. Bring the front heel towards the left hip. Walk the left leg back until your hips get a little lower and go down to your forearms. If you're using a block here, prop your arms instead of your legs so that you have to keep doing the personal work to keep the hips square. And then bring the left knee closer to the front heel. And let yourself come down to like an S shape or a Z shape. So you fall over towards the right. Use the right hand to prop and lift your hips up. And stretch the left arm overhead. Good long stretch to the front of the hip here. And then lower the hips back down. Find downward facing dog. Okay, left side, left knee towards the left wrist. Kick the heel towards the right. To start with, lower the back knee and then walk, walk, walk back. So we're very even in our weight, front to back, side to side. Come down to the forearms, whether they're all the way on your mat or a little lifted. And for me, I get into that second pose sort of on that exaggerated walk in of the back knee first, just because it works better in my hips and knees. Some folks could just fall off to the side without doing this walk in. But I've got the right knee walked in to connect. And then I crawl up to the hands and kind of fall off to the left. From your S sit, lean back on the left arm. Lift your hips up. Extend the right arm. Again, it's just extending the stretch when you have the arm. Maybe it likes to stay on your hip. Set both hips down. Stretch your legs straight out in front of you here. Take the right foot in and over. Foot flat, both sides of the sit bones on the ground. Pull your shin, your calf into the body and the body up into the thigh. And then that really tightly held twist, look over your right side. Okay, with the spine long, the belly still pulled forward over your thigh. You can change here, connect the left elbow to the outside of the right knee. If that makes you lean back to get there, skip it and stay with the tight twist today. Not wrong, Just that I'm looking for that tighter hold right now. Okay, release. Switch sides. Left foot in and over. And again, we need to start with the left foot flat, both sides of the hips on the ground. So for me, like this side is a little tighter. My left foot is more towards my ankle rather than towards my hip so that I can keep both sides on the ground, that sort of thing. Lift up as tall as you can and then twist. Stay forward, if anything, belly close to the thigh for this one today. And if you have the space, elbow to the outside of the knee, but if it makes you lean back, don't do it. Okay, good. Untwist. Legs long out in front of you. We get to spend the rest of the time on our back. Have that strap handy again, one more time for you. And lie on down. Pull just both knees into the chest. Without using the strap, extend your right leg, hold on to your calf somewhere. Can you hold below your knee on the lower half of your column? And then left leg down on the floor. Pull your head and shoulders off of the mat so you're in a rounded spine. Move your hands closer to your ankle. With your right leg up, hold on to your leg with just your left arm. Right hand goes out to the side. And then can you take your right arm up overhead? So your left toes are reaching one end of the mat, the right hand towards the other end of the mat. Look slightly towards the left. If you lie your head and shoulders down to the mat, what does that give you? And then go back to your crunch. Hold on to the right leg with both hands. And lower the right leg all the way down. Okay, left knee into the chest. Straighten the left leg so that you can ideally hold a straight leg with both hands on your calf. And if you lift your head and shoulders off of the floor, our spine gets more rounded and we can probably take our hands closer to the ankle here. So good or bad, just noticing those relationships. And the right hand holds on to the left leg, left arm out to the side. That all feels a little crunched and confined to me. Try taking the left arm overhead and lie your head and shoulders back down to the mat. Maybe your leg kind of comes with you a little bit. And that's more of that lengthened spine and full reach. Just feels, I think, a little nicer. So we're creating the twisted triangle shape one more time while we lie down here. Okay, both legs down to the mat. Pull the knees into the chest. Let both knees go over to the right side. We're looking for an easier spinal twist here. Head looks in any direction. And then take the knees all the way over to the left side. And back into the center. One more time, stretch your right leg straight up towards the sky. Feel free to grab your strap. And do that little turn out in the hip, knee, and ankle, and take the leg to the right side. We did this in the beginning, just kind of contrasting it here. And then back into the center. Hold on to both ends of the strap with your left hand and go across the midline of the body. Even if it's just a little bit, find that stretch in your outer hip, IT band, big band of tissue that leads from our hip to our knee. Okay. Bring it all back into the center and lower the right leg down. Pretty quick look at this. Second side, left leg. And turn the foot out. Take the left leg to the left side. Don't be surprised if you're a little sore in hamstrings and hips tomorrow. Bring it back into the middle and a little bit across the center. Back into the center. Lower the left leg all the way down. Okay, yogis, you get to choose any last little bit of movement here, sort of unwinding. I usually just kind of like roll around a little bit before I'm ready for the stillness of Shavasana. Or if there's a certain pose, give yourself about a minute, 90 seconds maybe. Find those last little bits. And then you choose your last position for stillness. You can lie back, traditional Shavasana, arms and legs extended, eyes closed. If you prefer a seat of meditation, that's cool too. Whatever works. I hope making that easy connection that when we move our bodies in intelligent ways with intention, that we can also release and see the connection to easier stillness from the movement. Turn off the movement in the body. See if you can turn off in the mind just for a moment. when you are ready, connect again, breath, body, through just a little bit of movement. And bring yourself up to a good seat. So this point of connection came up for me most personally this week on Saturday night. Our block was having much of a celebration of the news of our next president. And I reached out to my mom, who votes blue like me. And she was very somber in her voice. I didn't realize she had gone to visit my brother and extended family, who were not so happy about the news. We get to have our celebrations, we get to feel sad, and sometimes we just need different access points to remember the connection. And I keep looking for those different access points on and off the yoga mat. Find the ways to stay connected. Bring the palms together and the thumbs to the sternum in Anjali Mudra. Maybe giving yourself the task to see a few other connection points throughout this day. Let's close together in the sound of Om. Singing is a great way to connect. Empty the voice here, empty the breath, and take a deep breath in. And bow in deepest of gratitude to yourself, each other, this practice. Namaste.